大家好, good morning, everyone. So today is the DSE English course for listening, and today our tutor will be Este. And let's say good morning to Este, Miss Este.
Hi, my name is Esther, so you can call me Esther if you want.
Good morning, Este.
Morning. So we've got like 13 people in the class, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the list would be 60, but it depends on maybe it's too early. I know.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. So I know it is a bit early. Thank you for understanding me because I am on a trip. So that's why I wanted the lesson to be in the morning. And if you guys feel tired, please let me know. So I know it's like 33 hours. It's quite long. So let me know if you're too tired through chat box or anyway. So today we have got two sections, and one of the sections will be listening part A, and another section will be listening part B as well, I think. Or if you guys prefer having the two sections practicing part A, we can do that as well, because I've prepared 2 years of DSE papers for you. One is 2020 and another one is 2023. So see which one you guys prefer. Both sections practicing part A, so we'll be finishing 2020 or 2023 part A, or we can finish whole year's examination practice like part A plus part B. Please tell me in the chat box which one you guys prefer. Sure. We'll do both part A and part B. Thank you guys for telling me which one you prefer. And I am actually quite good at speaking Mandarin, so let me know if there's anything I can explain in Mandarin if you want. Just because that when I used to be an English tutor, I am used to speaking English, so that's why I speak English when I teach English. And if you want me to speak Mandarin, of course, I can do that. Okay. So now let's go through the listening part. No. We'll go through the marking scheme first. 1 second. Okay. Just that something's happening with my computer. I think you see it's like another side down. Have you got this paper with you? It's called marking schemes. It should be in the drive. Okay, so I'll turn my computer upside down, explain that with you guys. So you can see when we are doing the paper, oh, sorry, not this one. This is paper 2, paper 3. Oh, let's see. Okay. So paper 3 contains a few tasks. We have part 1, part B1, and part B2 as well, same as the other papers in DSE listening, DSE papers like reading, writing, and not speaking. Speaking, you have no choices, but for reading and listening, you've got choices. You can do B1 or B2 depending on your ability. You know that, right? So for part A, you've got task 1, task 2, task 3, and task 4. What you need to do is just like sitting in front of the IELTS exam, you listen to audios and then you will write down the answers. And then for part B1 and B2, it's different. What you need to do is to listen to like a 10-minute audio and jot down some notes. Then you will do task 5, task 6, okay, and 8. 6, 7, 8. Yes, as I remember. So what you need to do is to read some articles and passages in the data file, and then you will use your pen to highlight the important things and the contents in the data file. And in your writing parts of the listening, okay, the other part is like more like writing. What you need to do is to organize and group and classify different information into one or more information packages, okay, depending on what they are about. No worries, I know it's a bit confusing. We'll go through it one by one together. So there's no marking scheme for there's no overall marking scheme for the overall task, but each of the tasks there is a marking scheme for each one. So each year's will be different. Let's go through some of it. So for example, task 7, it depends on the language that you will have. For example, for the 2 marks, you've got for the language. If you want to get 2 marks, which is the full mark, what you need to do is to generally understandable through maybe there are some errors and most words are spelled correctly and mostly includes appropriate action verbs and constructs comprehensible answers. So that's what you need to do if you want to gain 2 marks for language. And one thing to remind is that you will see the data file. There are lots of words, there are a lot of passages, a lot of things for you to read. But when you write it down on your part, avoid just copying, avoid simply copying everything down, because that will make you deduct, or that will make more deduction on your paper. So just try not to copy down everything. Try to use your own language when writing the data file parts. Is that all right? Okay, I'll see. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the response. And now let's see what we can do together. Okay. So there's no much explanation for the marking scheme because, as I said, each year will be different because the exercises are different, the practice different. So let's don't waste time on the marking scheme. So let's see 2020, we start with the earliest one. So what you need to do do you want me to go through the general instructions with you? Okay, sure, nope. All right, so you've got part A, so it looks like this. So you will have your 4 tasks for part A. What you need to do is during the music time, there'll be music time for you. During the music time, what you need to do is to use your highlight pen or your pencil or anything to circle or underline or highlight the important key information that you will focus when listening. For example, see this one, about what watch travel. The main goal is to provide eco-friendly adventure, which is an example for you. Okay, so it is already done for you. And you see the country. So what you need to do is to listen carefully for the country name. And for the group, okay, blah, blah, blah from different countries. So what you need to listen is different countries or any words related to different countries. And the price, of course, you will listen to you will focus on the number, okay? And the main activities studying small animals, task set up, blah, blah, check, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So maybe I tell you one of the hints that when I was like as a DSE student sitting for the DSE exam, my English teacher used to tell me that there might be some words that you don't know how to spell when you listen, and there might be long names, long words for you to write down. So the best way for you to do is to know what you are writing when you are listening, because you cannot wait until you finish writing each of the answer and then go to the next answer. The very the very common thing is that for example, while you are jotting down or writing the answer for question 1, the answer for question 2 and 3 and 4 are already playing while you're writing. So the best thing you do is, for example, if it is a very long answer, like eco-friendly adventure, you write down the short names that you will understand for yourself at the spaces around. For example, here, you see answers written in the margins will not be marked. You can write down signals, or you can draw anything that to make you understand what you will write here for yourself. For example, if I were you, I would say eco-friend ADVEN, okay, something like that, to make myself understand, oh, I am going to write eco-friendly adventure when there will be time given for me to tidy up my answers. Okay, something like that. So I know I can't explain a lot of things before the actual practice for you. So shall we just go through task 1 together, and then you tell me your problems, and then we go through it all together. Don't worry. I know it sounds a bit nervous or confusing, but I am going through it with you. Okay, so now, if you're ready, I am now going to turn on the audio. So let's see.
It's RTHK Radio 2. The time now is 9:30. We are now switching to mono mode.
Okay, wait a second. I will get the audio.
Follow the instructions in the question answer book and in the recording to complete the tasks. You will find all the information you need in the question answer book and the recording. You now have 2 minutes to familiarize yourself with tasks 1 to 4.
Okay, task 1 to 4.
Task 1. Julia and Mark are looking at the web page of World Watch Travel. Listen to their conversation and complete the information in the spaces below. The first one has been provided as an example. You now have 30 seconds to study the task. At the end of the task, you will have 1 minute to tidy up your answer.
Hey, I found this website about expeditions. Let's see what it says. Have you ever wanted to become an explorer and discover new animals? Now you can with WorldWatch Travel. With WorldWatch Travel, you go on an eco-friendly adventure to a protected part of the Brazilian rainforest.
Oh, it's in Brazil. Wow, it sounds amazing. When can we go?
Well, let me see. It says here you can book an expedition in the summer, and each one lasts for 6 nights.
Do you wander around the rainforest by yourselves for 6 nights?
No, you go in a group. And, groups are made up of 8 to 10 students from different countries.
8 to 10 students in a group. That's quite a lot. Safety in numbers, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And wait, how much does it cost?
Let's see. It says for students, it's $750.
How much is that in Hong Kong dollars?
I think it's around 6,000 Hong Kong dollars.
6,000? Well, it's not cheap, but it's a holiday of a lifetime. All right, let's see what they actually do. Can you click on main activity?
Sure. Okay. So the main activity is studying small animals.
So what do we have to do?
Well, it says here, you will set up traps.
Oh my goodness. That means we have to catch real animals in traps and see what we find. I hope there are no big spiders. Okay. What do we do with the animals once they're in the traps?
All right, let me read. So apparently we need to check their weight and general health.
Right. So we check to see how much they weigh and also see if they're healthy. Sounds okay?
Yeah, sounds fun.
What about facilities? What kind of facilities do they offer?
Right. So it looks like you stay in a lodge, and it looks like each lodge has a toilet at least and a shower.
Well, that's good news. It's definitely a plus that there's a washroom and it isn't like miles away. So is there a kitchen?
It doesn't look like it. So where are we supposed to cook, do you think?
That's what I was wondering.
But there is a lounge, so you can hang out with the rest of your group in the lounge if you want to.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, but look, there's no hot water.
That can be very pleasant.
I suppose the water's warm enough for a shower.
Well, it all sounds amazing, even with cold water.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, here's a map of the campsite locations. You can see where there are interesting places and where new species have been found. Blue Camp's where the exploration starts. It's the most northern campsite. You can see here on the top left of the map. They say a lot of new insects have been discovered here. The next one on the list is Red Camp. It's quite far away from Blue Camp on the other side of the map.
Oh yes, over here on the right.
Yes. There's a veterinary center here, so that's where they take any sick animals they find. This area is where new species of butterfly have been found. The next one's Green Camp. It's right in the middle of the map. It says you can often see turtles here. The last one's Yellow Camp, over in the southeast.
I'm not sure if it's a good idea to visit this one. Look at the kinds of animals that live there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the monkeys, but I don't think I'd fancy meeting crocodiles.
No, neither would I. Oh, look, there are some reviews. Oh dear, this one isn't very good. It says, I thought this would be a relaxing holiday, but I was so tired at the end of it, I needed another one. This was not a holiday. It was paying to work for someone else. Paying to work for someone else? That's a terrible way to look at it.
Oh gosh, what an idiot. Didn't they read the website?
Here's a better one. The best thing about World Watch Camp was the delicious local food. Everything was fresh and delicious.
Ah, that's why there's no kitchen. There must be a canteen instead.
That is the end of task 1. You now have 1 minute to tidy up your answers.
Okay, guys, so now we have finished part A, task 1. How was it? How do you guys feel? Is it hard or is it easy? Or is it okay or anything?
Task
Easy.
1 is okay. Not that fast, in a
Hmm.
very slow pace.
Great. Okay, I'm glad that it's easy for you. So now let's check the answers together. Okay, so this is task 1. Okay, you can use your red pen to mark for yourself and let me know if there's any questions or problems. For the blanket, okay, for the blanket, that means your answer can be traps or your answer can be traps to catch real animals, okay? But if you only write those things in the bracket, then you will have no marks. You can only, okay, so the words in the brackets are optional. That means if you have it, it's not gonna lose mark, but if you don't have it, it's not gonna, if you have it or if you don't have it, it's not gonna affect your marks.
So what about the numbers? If I write down the ordinal number instead of the word, is that okay?
Because it is about money, you're gonna have the sign, the money mark like this. Okay, let me show you in the chat box. This one. Okay, it's strange if you say, for example, 60. Okay, it's strange if you write it down like this. So you can only write the numbers. Okay, so like this. Okay. For example, if you go to the supermarket, you're not gonna see the money sign and then the English word for numbers, right? It's a bit strange for the format. So if it is about money, so just write down the number in the simplest way. Okay.
So when it talks about money, I need to plus the sign for dollars.
Yes, of course.
But I can see it has dollar behind the sentence, except Hong Kong dollars.
Okay, Hong Kong dollars.
So we also need to put a dollars sign
Yes,
before the
yes.
number. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's better for you to do that. Why is that Hong Kong dollars? Because the sign for the money in this one can be American dollars, can be Hong Kong dollars, can be any country's dollars. So the Hong Kong dollars doesn't mean that you don't have to put the money sign. Okay, it means that it's telling you which country's money it refers to. Okay, the answer 3, 8 to 10 students. 8 to 10 students for answer 3. Lin Fan, for the answer 3, you said, can we write 83 students? The 83 is in numbers. I'm sorry, I actually don't know whether this one is acceptable because when I was small, starting from like Form 1, Year 7, I started to write the numbers whenever there's no size that. So I don't really know whether your answer can be correct or not. Karina, do you know it? Karina? Or maybe she's not here. I'll check it for you, Lin Fan. I guess it is acceptable, Lin Fan, but I would suggest you to just write down the English numbers down as answers. So because different markers may have different standards. If you write down the English one, it's not gonna be wrong. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, you can't just write food. It's not specific enough. For example, if the audio says local food, then you have to write local food. Okay. And also when you are teaching students, if you're marking your students' paper, whatever is wrong, there's no mark for that question, okay? So you see here 16 questions and task 1 total of 16 marks. So whatever is wrong in one of the sentences, no marks for that one. You don't say, oh, just half right, half wrong, then I give 0.5 marks to the students. No, in DSE, no, nothing. There's no 0.5 marks thing. So for example, if 16, you wrote down food, then no mark is gained. You don't even get 0.5 marks. For another example, if question 5, you only write down trap, you didn't write traps, you are missing the S, then you will lose the whole 1 mark as well. Okay. All right. Have you guys finished checking your answers? All right. Yes. Okay, if yes, then we can move on to task 2. The level of difficulty is arising through each of the tasks. Okay, so task 2 will be a bit harder than task 1. Mm.
No hot water.
That can be very pleasant.
I suppose the water's warm enough for a shower.
Well, it all sounds amazing, even with cold water.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, here's a map of the campsite locations. You can see where there are interesting places and where new species have been found. Blue camps where the
Is it still task 1's audio? I forgot to check the time.
Yeah, it is still task 1.
Okay, let's wait for a bit to move on to task 2. Thank you for telling me.
Each lodge has a toilet at least and a shower.
Well, that's good news. It's definitely a plus that there's a washroom and it isn't like miles away. So is there a kitchen?
It doesn't look like it. So, where are we supposed to cook, do you think?
That's what I was wondering.
But there is a lounge, so you can hang out with the rest of your group in the lounge if you want to.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, but look, there's no hot water.
That can be very pleasant.
I suppose the water's warm enough for a shower.
Well, it all sounds amazing, even with cold water.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, here's a map of the campsite locations. You can see where there are interesting places and where new species have been found. Blue camps where the exploration starts. It's the most northern campsite. You can see here on the top left of the map. They say a lot of new insects have been discovered here. The next one on the list is Red Camp. It's quite far away from Blue Camp on the other side of the map.
Oh, yes, over here on the right.
Yes, there's a veterinary
Wait, what is
center here. So that's where they take any sick animals they find. This area is where new species of butterfly have been found. The next one's Green Camp. It's right in the middle of
it? I needed another one.
Task 2. Jason is a documentary maker. He is interviewing Dr. Anita Carter for a documentary about the exploration of the ocean. Listen to the interview and write the information in the spaces below. The first one has been provided as an example. You now have 30 seconds to study the task. At the end of the task, you will have 1 minute to tidy up your answers.
Good afternoon, Dr. Carter.
Good afternoon, Jason.
Now, Dr. Carter, you're part of an American research team that's discovered new fish in the Alonzo Trench, one of the deepest parts of the ocean.
Yes, that's right.
So how long have you been researching this area?
Well, our research began last spring, so we've been documenting the area for about a year now.
And what brings you to this part of the ocean? Is it because there are lots of endangered species here?
No, actually, no. It's simply because we don't know much about it yet, even though it is actually quite near the coast.
Right. So there's still a lot more to be discovered.
That's right. We always want to find out more.
So can you tell us about what you've discovered so far?
Well, there's so much going on under the surface of the ocean. So much to find out. But I suppose the main discovery was a new species of snailfish.
Snailfish? That's quite an unfortunate name.
Yes, but they're a very special creature. I have a map here. It's not to scale, but it gives you an idea of where we found the fish. Before, we could only go down to around 3,000 meters, but now we can go much further. I mean, we've reached depths of between 6,500 meters and 7,500 meters below sea level. And that's where we found the snailfish.
That's quite far down, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. We've also got some images of the animals we found.
Great. Let's have a look.
Okay, so this one here is the snailfish. You can see they have very soft bodies, which are quite long. They have two sets of fins, larger ones near the front of their bodies, behind their heads. In this image, you can just see the ones at the front.
Oh, they do look like fish, but they don't really look like snails, do they? They don't carry a shell on their backs.
No, they don't.
What's this one here? It looks quite alien.
No, it's from Earth. This is another species we filmed. They are long-legged isopods, and they're about the size of a human hand. They look a lot like spiders. They have very small bodies and 8 long, very thin legs.
Yes, they do look like spiders.
The third interesting creature, you can see here, was a type of sea cucumber called a sea pig.
A sea pig? That's an even more unfortunate name than snailfish.
Indeed, but again, they're quite special. This animal was observed in a different part of the ocean, but we used the same technology to film it. They have several short legs on the underside of their bodies and usually 4 legs that extend from the top. This one has just 2. You can see here that all these legs help them climb over rocks.
Yes, that's extraordinary. So those aren't antennae on the top of its head?
No, those are more legs.
Right. Let's go back to the snailfish. They look very fragile. Are they?
Well, they are very delicate animals, but they do have hard parts. Actually, their teeth and ear bones are the hardest structures in their bodies.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought their spines would be the toughest part, as you can see them in the picture. So they have hard teeth, you say?
Yes, they use them to scare off other fish.
Right. So I get it why they would need hard teeth. But why do they need ear bones?
Well, they need ear bones for balance, just as humans do.
So the ear bones help them stay upright in the water?
Yeah, basically. Without the ear bones, they would have a hard time swimming in the right direction.
And what about the rest of their bodies?
Well, they're covered with a skin that looks a bit like jelly. This means that they cannot survive for long when they're brought to the surface.
Why can't they survive?
Well, it's really difficult to maintain the conditions they need to survive on the surface.
It's easy enough to make the tank dark and to give them the right kind of food, but they need very cold temperatures and very high pressure. Once they're brought to the surface, it's too warm and the water pressure's too low. So without these two things, they just die.
Oh, really? That's a shame. That must make your job more difficult. Do you get quite frustrated?
Well, it's incredibly exciting to be able to study them in their natural habitat, but it's unfortunate that they don't survive their journey to the surface.
Okay, Dr. Carter, thank you very much.
That is the end of task 2. You now have 1 minute to tidy up your answers. Task 3. Julie.
All right. How was it? It's okay. Eileen said it was okay. Oh, easy, but cannot get a full score. Okay. I understand it's quite hard to get full marks for each of the tasks. Okay, now let's check the answers. Oh, you see on the marking scheme, there's a bracket next to at the very side of the paper. These are the percentages of how many students of each of this year got correct. For example, question 17, only 58% of candidates got it correct, and for question 18, 77 candidates got it correct. And for 19, it's quite easy. So 96 percentage persons of candidates got it correct. It's about the percentages. For 24, scale of other fish. Okay, so for number 24, you cannot write scare of the fish, because if you're writing the fish, then that means there is one of the specific kind of fish that it wants to scare off from. Okay, so the correct answer must be scare of other fish. So any other fish that's gonna attack it is gonna scare off instead of the specific kind of fish. Okay. To keep balance. To keep balance for 26. Let me have a look at the question answer book, because it depends on the sentence the form of the sentence. Your answer, if your answer is on the blank of on a sentence, then you have to make sure it is grammatically correct. Six. Oh, there's no sentence here. To keep balance. Yes, I think to keep balance is okay. Any other questions? All right. Great. So all of you have finished checking the answers, right? If yes, we can move on to task 3.
Novit, I needed another one.
Task 3. Julia and Mark are at a history museum with a museum guide. Listen to their discussion as they visit an exhibition and complete the notes below. The first one has been provided as an example. You now have 30 seconds to study the task. At the end of the task, you will have 1 minute to tidy up your answers.
Merlin expedition to northeast Siberia, led by Captain James Merlin, was one of history's most famous expeditions. Unfortunately, it was also one of the most deadly. 179 crew members began the journey, but none survived.
179 people died. That's awful.
The Admiralty started planning for the mission in 1819, and the ship, which was called the Shadow, finally began its journey 3 years later in 1821. Here you can see a picture of the Shadow and what experts think happened to it on the ice. The ship used technology which was very modern for that time. The main piece of technology was a steam engine that had originally been built to power trains. This meant that it could travel quite quickly.
So, a steam engine. Would that have helped them sail even when there was no wind? Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's right. It was very powerful. Here's an example of a similar steam engine. You can see how impressive it is.
Wow, yeah.
Another aspect of technology that was quite advanced at the time was a special heating system. This heating system, it was inside the ship, was powered by steam as well, and it would help the crew keep warm, even in the freezing cold.
Right, yeah.
Right, moving on. Here we can see what the ship's galley would have looked like.
What's a galley? Is that like a kitchen?
Yeah, I think so. Whoa, that's a lot of soup.
Yes, you can see the food's mostly in cans, right?
It all looks the same. Do you think they got tired of always eating the same thing?
Well, it might have been boring, but it did save space on the ship. They had lots of people to feed, so they needed food that wouldn't take up too much room.
It must have been very cramped. And what did they do all day? Wouldn't they get bored just looking out at icebergs?
Well, we know that to keep everyone entertained, the crew would put on a show once a month.
Oh, so they would be actors and singers when they weren't working.
Yes, this was a common thing aboard ships at the time. They would put on a show to help keep the crew members happy and also give them something to do. A bit like us watching TV shows today.
I have a question. Weren't they afraid of going to Siberia? I mean, I would have been.
It probably would have seemed a long, scary journey to us, but the crew thought there was nothing to worry about. They believed they were well prepared for the journey, as they thought they had everything they would need. What they didn't realize was that there was a problem with the food.
Really? What happened?
Well, there was a problem with the manufacturer. They needed 8,000 cans of food, and they needed the order to be ready in only 2 months. This wasn't much time, but the company that made the order was very experienced, so that wasn't a problem in itself. However, the food that the company bought to put in the cans wasn't of a very high standard. This meant that, although the ship got their order in time, what they ended up with was a lot of bad food. Some of the canned vegetables were rotten. Some of the meat would have been okay for animals, but not for people. Previously, experts thought that the cans had been made with dangerous metals, but we now know that that isn't true. That wasn't the problem.
So, is that how they died?
Well, we know that the ship became trapped in ice, and most experts believe that it remained trapped there for 3 winters.
Most experts think they were there for 3 winters. Does that mean no one's really sure about what happened?
Well, we don't know for sure what happened, but we do know that none of them survived. We also know that their health was affected by a number of problems. One was the quality of their diet. They simply didn't get enough vitamins. This is because, as I mentioned before, they weren't eating enough high-quality meat.
Okay, so not enough vitamins. What else?
They were stuck on the ice for so long, and the human body needs a huge number of calories when it's that cold, but they just didn't get enough, so they starved. They just didn't get enough calories to survive.
Whoa, it's a grim story.
Yes, it really must have been terrible.
You said they found the ship in 2010. Where?
Well, it's kind of strange, actually. The name of the area was almost the same as that of the ship. It was found in an area called Shadow Bay.
Oh, that's a creepy coincidence. The Shadow Bay.
Another strange thing is how they found it. The story goes that a local fisherman had a dream about a ship caught in a huge snowstorm on the ice. The fisherman was so upset by the dream that he felt he had to go there and check for himself. And when he did, he found an old ship in exactly the same spot where he'd seen it in his dream. So he called the authorities, who eventually confirmed that, yes, it was the Shadow. He was right.
Wow, that's amazing. Imagine seeing it in a dream.
That is the end of task 3. You now have 1 minute to tidy up your answers. Task 4.
All right, how was it? Task 4. Oh, 1 hour has passed by already. Do you guys need a rest after checking the answers? So this is task 3. Oh, didn't spell the correct words. Steam engine, let me see, 31. Powered by a steam engine. It depends on how the question is asked. Let me know. Let me have a look. Task 3. Features on the shadow. Okay, I understand why the marking scheme asks you to write down powered by a steam engine, because it asks, you see, I said depends on how the question is asked. It says technological features on the shadow. Okay, if you just write down a steam engine, I don't know what's happening with the steam engine. So what is about the steam engine? So it is better for you to write down it is powered by a steam engine. Okay, be more specific. Number 34, a show once a month is acceptable. 34, a show once a month. The crew puts on a show once a month. I think without put on can be acceptable. Type of entertainment, a show once a month. Oh, I think it's acceptable, yes. Thirty-three, we need to use past simple tense. 33, save place, didn't take. 33, let me see how the question's asked. Benefits of canned food. Saved place. Okay, so if the transcripts, if the persons in the audio, if they used simple past tense, then you will need to use simple past tense. Okay, I guess for question 33, the people in the audio, they used simple present tense, right? So that's why the answer were in simple past tense. Okay, 42, can I say because of his dream? 42, in a dream, he dreamed about the sheep. How did he know where to look for the sheep? Okay, you can't say because of the dream, because it's the answer is too simple. And for example, if you say because of the dream, I don't really know what did you dream of. I don't really know what's in your dream. So be more specific, because he saw the sheep in the dream. Okay. $39 calories. Okay, calories, it depends on little calories or a lot of calories. They're very different. Everyone's got calories, like very slim people and very chubby people, they've all got calories. So it's better for you to say a lot of calories or huge number of calories, because the calories mentioned on question 39 is the key to survive in the cold, okay? Huge calories, I think huge calories can be acceptable. And for 40, the name of the area is the same as the sheep's. 40, almost the same. Okay, so I understand that for question 40, the name of the area is the same as the ships. I understand why you've got this question because I know the audio is quite confusing. But the thing is, it's almost the same. Almost the same doesn't mean it is exactly the same. So your answer might be a little bit of a problem. It would be better if you write down the name of the area is almost the same as the ships. Okay, right, with the word almost. Okay, because it's really not exactly the same. It's just almost the same. All right. Great. Do you guys need a rest? It's been like more than an hour. Okay, how many minutes do you need? Is 5 minutes enough? Cool. All right, so I will see you at 9:45, okay? Come back to me at 9:45. Guys, the break time's over. Welcome back. Are you guys in Hong Kong or are you guys in China? Like mainland China? Oh, Hong Kong. Okay. So now we'll be finishing task 4. Okay. I guess everyone's back, right? Okay, so now we'll be starting task 4.
Task 4. Listen to Modern Explorer, a podcast about modern-day exploration. You will hear historian Anna Connor introducing an audiobook. After you hear part of the audiobook, Anna will give her opinion on the audiobook. Please note that you do not need to answer in complete sentences. You now have 30 seconds to study the task. At the end of the task, you will have 3 minutes to tidy up your answers.
Good morning and welcome to the program. I'm Anna Connor and you're listening to Modern Explorer. Today, we're going to hear from an explorer called Peter Dales, who claims to have discovered a lost monument, the Temple of the Leopard God. Let's hear some parts of his new audiobook, The Rise of the Leopard God.
Chapter 1. Through the Jungle. On the first day of our search, my team and I left the jungle campsite with 2 experienced guides. They knew the area well because their families had lived nearby for generations and they had grown up hearing stories of the leopard god. Their ancestors had the greatest respect for the leopard god because the leopard would have been the most powerful animal in the jungle. Luckily, we didn't see real, live leopards. We did, however, meet some very curious, wild animals on our journey. Monkeys followed us in the trees above our heads, and small deer came out to watch us. How would they know to be scared of us if they had never seen humans before? This was a clear sign that people had not been in this area for a very, very long time. We continued on our journey into the valley, fighting our way through the jungle. A late afternoon, though, we'd hit a problem. The guides said that they were unwilling to take us any further, claiming that the area was unsafe. They said that a recent earthquake had made the area dangerous, and so it was unsafe to go on. This seemed suspicious, and it seemed to me that there may have been another reason why they didn't want to continue. The leopard god. I actually think that they were afraid of making the leopard god angry. According to local legend, disturbing the leopard god could have very serious consequences. That's why they would not go on. We continued alone. Chapter 2. The Statue. On our second day, after hours of climbing through the dense jungle, we eventually reached a flat area. Was this the site of the temple? The temple was said to have been guarded by a huge statue of the leopard god, made entirely of blue stone. Suddenly, we made a remarkable discovery. One color stood out between the green leaves and brown soil. The large pieces of blue stone were unmistakable. Then, all around on the ground, we began to see more and more blue stones. This was it. The lost statue of the leopard god. As we carefully removed plants and dirt, we uncovered a wonderful surprise. Under the plants was a gold coin. We began searching. That day alone, we uncovered more than 70 priceless gold coins, scattered all around the immediate area. There was so much more to explore. We vowed that one day we would return. Chapter 3. The Research. The next step was to take some evidence back to our research centre in London. Some historians may not agree with removing artifacts, but we had two very good reasons for doing so. Firstly, we needed to study the items carefully, and the only place we could do that was in the lab. So we packed the objects up into boxes and shipped them all back to our lab in London for analysis. The second reason is particularly important to this discovery. There could always be an earthquake, and if that happened, then the site would have been destroyed. We knew we had to take the items we found to safety, so that they wouldn't be lost if an earthquake struck the area again.
Okay, so that was an extract from Peter Dale's new book, The Rise of the Leopard God. Well, what can I say? This is all rubbish. There are so many problems here, I just don't know where to start. Firstly, and most importantly, Peter should not say he discovered the temple. He didn't discover it because the local people already knew about it. The local people knew about the temple because their families had always lived in the area. Just because someone from Europe went there to see it for themselves, it does not mean that no one else knew about it. And for goodness sake, why does he keep repeating that there is so much gold? What does he think's going to happen? Now that we know where the temple is, anybody can go there and take the objects. And that would be a disaster for the local community and for historical research. And Peter Dales really needs to remember what the true value of studying historical items is. It is not how much they are worth. It is not what the objects are made of that's important. It's how people used these things in their lives. That's what's important. For instance, why were there so many gold coins at the temple? What does this tell us about how people use the temple? If we find the answers to these questions, this will give us a much better picture of how people lived in the past.
That is the end of Task 4 and of Part 3A. You now have 3 minutes to complete your answers to Task 4 and to tidy up all your other answers. Part B.
Okay, so now let's check the answers for task 4. This is the hardest part in part A. How do you guys feel? Task 4, you see? So like around only 30 or 40 or 20 something percentages of students can get the full marks from task 4. Yeah, it's hard to write down the full correct answers. Because time management is one of the keys in doing the listening task in part A, especially task 3 and task 4. It requires you to write incomplete sentences most of the time. Gold coins, 47. No, you can't just write gold coins. You have to be more specific how many gold coins that you have to gain. 49, help them escape from the earthquake. The meaning's different. One is to help them escape. That means help them run away from the earthquake. But according to the audio, it means that it helps to protect them from the earthquake. It may not be help them run away from the earthquake. It can be they stay at the place and then something there to help them without getting hurt. So for 49, it's better to say to protect them from the earthquake. Okay, and then let's see, 49. Oh, 46. They saw blue stones. Yes, they saw blue stones. It's okay. The same meaning as they found blue stones. Okay, so there's a student, He Ying, asked whether we have to write a complete sentence or it can be simply a phrase. It depends on how the question is asked. Okay, for example, you see, let's see, task 4. Okay, let's have a look at the screen. So for example, if you see the questions are asking this way, why did people think the leopard god was more important than other gods? It is better to write down the complete sentence in this case. You see, there's a whole blank for you to write down. Okay, so it is better to write down incomplete sentences. Okay, and then if the question is asked in this way, you see, problem and details, there's a table and there are words for you already. You just need to fill in a bit more. For example, not enough of what? Not enough vitamins, then you just write down vitamins, or other short phrases, then that would do. Okay. Yeah, the correct answers are hard to get, I understand. To get level 5 star, you don't have to get all full marks. If you get like around 90%, then it's already 5 star. Okay. What kind of pen do you guys use for listening? Do you use pencil or do you use ball pens? Yes. It seems that all these answers should be the sentences. Okay, so actually for most of the questions in task 3 and 4 requires full sentences. But the standard answer doesn't show this rule, doesn't follow this rule. That's true because when you write down the full sentence, the marker has to see whether you've got the key information or the keywords in your complete sentence. That's the and if you get the keywords, then you get the mark already. So for example, for this one, let me find a better example. So for example, question 40 in task 3, for example, if the answer in the marking scheme is Shadow Bay, then in your complete sentence, if the word Shadow Bay is appeared, then you will get the full mark. But if you do not write down incomplete sentence, you will lose mark. Do you guys get what I mean? That means if you've got the complete sentence and if you've got the correct spelling of the key information, then you'll get full marks. Okay? I think it's quite hard to be a scholar. So many different versions. Yes, that's correct. That's why it is hard. The marker will see and the marker will consider whether your case can get marks. So it doesn't fully depend on the marking scheme. So as I said, sometimes when you ask me questions, I would say, oh, this one hasn't got the same meaning as the question. For example, Ying Ying asked, help them escape from the earthquake. Is that correct? Oh, it's not correct because the meaning is different from the marking scheme. Okay, the marking scheme means to protect them. Okay, instead of help them escape. In this case, the two meanings are different. So you don't get marks. But if your meanings are different, if your meanings are similar, if your meanings are the same, but you don't just use the same keywords, then you will get the mark. Do you get what I mean? It depends on whether your meaning are correct. Oh, sorry, I should have shown you the correct answer. Okay, check this one. Yes, the teachers will be served as scholars in Hong Kong. They get paid by each paper. They don't get paid by salary hours. They get paid by paper. So for as I remember, like 10 years ago, it was like 15 Hong Kong dollars for each paper. I don't know how much is it now. Any other questions? Let me know. Let me know if you guys are ready to move on to the next section. Or if you guys do need a bit more time, that's okay. Just let me know what you guys need. Oh, by the way, I asked the question, do you guys use pencil or do you guys use ball pens? When I was a secondary school student, my English teacher asked all of us to use pencils in listening exam. So for both part A and part B, you use pencils. Why? Because I don't know, because I used to teach some of the mainland Chinese students, like the secondary school students from mainland China. They told me that when they use ball pens, if they got something wrong, if they write down something wrong, they just simply use their ball pens to like get rid of the wrong words. They don't use correction pens and they don't use T-pegs. They don't use anything to do the correction. They just simply draw away the incorrect words. But if you do that in Hong Kong, you're gonna lose marks for I don't know, there's an area for deducting this kind of marks. if the marker or the scorer thinks that your paper is very untidy, okay, you're gonna got marks deducted. Starting from primary school to secondary school, if you do that, if you do not erase the wrong answers, you just simply draw it off, you just simply get rid of it and then write down the correct answer next to it, you're not gonna get very good marks because the tidiness, the clearest marks gonna be deducted, especially in the writing and the listening part. So don't do that. And so that's why my English teacher required all of us to use pencils. So that means whenever you've got something wrong, use your eraser to erase it. And do you remember every time after each of the tasks, there are a kind of the few minutes time, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes music time for you to tidy up your answers. Tidy up the answer it really literally means to make your answer tidy and clear. Okay, if your teacher sees a messy job, then you're gonna get marks deducted. Although it's not very much of the mark, but really the mark's gonna get deducted. Yeah, 1 minute tidy up or 2 minute tidy up or 3 minute tidy up, just erase the answers that is you're wrong with, okay? So when you guys teach in Hong Kong schools, you guys are all gonna be secondary school students, right? Secondary school teachers, right? So whenever you see your students are not good at handwriting, or if you see your students are having messy homework, remember to remind them the fact that they're gonna get deducted marks. Okay. Any other questions for task 1 to 4? If no, let's see this. So this is one of the samples for 2020. So this candidate got level 5. I've got level 5 example, level 4, level 3, 2, 1. I don't know, the official websites only got this one for me. I cannot show you the 5-star, star or 5-star. So you can see level 5. So have a look at the formats. Okay, so the students only got level 5, not 5-star. So some of the formats or some of the ways or the words or the answers may be wrong. Okay, you see, so let's take an example. Have a look. In the music part, I guess this student used brackets and underlines to remind herself or himself the key words or the key information to listen for. For example, Hong Kong dollars. For example, group. For example, country. Okay, for example, setup, check, and okay, and for example, take 3. You see there's a star signal here to take 3 to remind the student listen for 3 of them. Okay, I don't know whether you are using your pencils to do the marking as this student, like the brackets, circling, underlining, or you guys are using highlight pens. I personally suggest using highlight pens because highlight pens got colors. It's sharper than you just simply using your pencils to do the brackets or the underlines, because it's sharper than simply using pencils. Okay. So you see this one, a very good job for this student to put a cross for negative review and a tick for positive review, easier for you to understand. Yeah, so if you write, you see everything's clear. There's nothing written wrong and then simply cross it with pencils, because we really don't do that in Hong Kong. Yeah, and for this one, see, just take a look at how the student make notes. Yeah, for the tables, usually you don't write down incomplete sentences. No subject needed for the answer. You see this one, 29, the student also did a good job. How does Dr. Carter feel about studying snailfish? So mixed feelings, neutral, frustrated, proud. You see, the students got positive, negative marks or signals for her to see, because while you are listening for the audio, you may not have time to really go through all the words. So it's good for you to do the markings yourself while preparing. See, for 33, the student didn't use simple past tense, so I guess he or she got marks deducted here. No. For reading, you've got for reading paper 1, you've got a reading passage paper and a question answer book. But for listening, everything's on the same paper. You see, you've only got this one. When you sit for the exam, you've only got this one, as I remember. You've only got this one. You see questions and the sentence are on the same paper. Okay, so when you write down the traps, when you write down the things that you do not want the markers to correct for you, you write it here. Okay, I use my pen to show you. You write it here. You write it here, outside the box. Okay, whatever you draw or write outside the box, outside this box, is not gonna be marked. So when you want to draw or when you want to write something to remind yourself, just write it here or draw it here. Okay, that's what I did when I was sitting for the exam. So for example, 1921, if I could really at the first time once just have the exact answer, then I will write it here. If that's a long sentence that I need time to organize or anything, I will write it here. So for example, 32, I will write something here. I will write it here. Okay. Okay, any questions? Any other problems? Okay, task 3 and task 4. So this person's got level 5, and I'll show you level 4s. Oh, this one's level 5 as well. This one's level 4. Let's see. Which level you receive also depends on the part B, data file part. So by simply having a look at part A doesn't show your ability that much, because part B is harder. Yeah, you can see these examples from the website. So each year there are only level 1 to level 5 example. I don't really know whether the level 5 already includes 5-star, star, or 5-star. It only says it is level 5. Okay. So just simply have a look. You see this person, level 3, he or she didn't even do the preparing job. He or she didn't do the signals. Oh, he did. He or she did. You see, these are the marks or the signs using highlight pens. Okay. All right. Any questions before we move on to part B? Or do you guys need another rest before we go to part B? Just let me know whenever you guys are tired. Please let me know because I am also an university student. I understand long lessons really takes a lot of energy. Okay, rest for a while. So how about 5 minutes? Is that enough for you? Okay, I'll see you at 10:28, okay? See you. Guys, the break time's over. Welcome back. Okay, one more hour to go. So for part B, okay, things are different. Let me see. So you've got a data file, right? Have you got a data file with you? Yes. Okay, so let me see where my data files are. So here. Okay, so as I said, part B1 and B2 are different. Okay, so before you start doing the data file part B, you will listen to your audio, which is like 10 minutes long, as I remember, around 10 minutes. And for part B1 and part B2, the 10 minutes are the same. Everything's the same. Everyone, whether you're taking part B1 or part B2, are the same, or what you listen to is the same. But for the tasks that you do are different. Part B1 is much easier. Part B2 is much harder. But if you choose to do part B1, even if you get full marks, you're gonna only get level 4 for your DSE. But if you do part B2, the harder one, it's gonna depend on your ability and your work and your standard. Okay, if you do a very good job, you get 5-star. If you do very poorly, you're gonna get U or level 1 or level 2. Okay, so just be reminded that if you choose part B1, the highest mark you're gonna have is level 4, no matter how well you do. So that's how you're gonna choose your task. But of course we are all future teachers. We're gonna do part B2. Okay. When should we decide to choose B1 or B2? Are they all the same paper? No, they're not the same paper. They're not the same paper. B1, 1 paper. B2, 2 paper. If you sit for a DS exam on your table, there will be question answer book, data file, part B1, part B2. For part A, and the data file audio is gonna be the same. Everyone's gonna do the same. When you do the part B, then you will choose part B1 or part B2, depending your goal. If you want to get level 4 or above, then of course you choose B2. If you say, oh, I just get a B, if I just get a level 4, level 3, or level 2, then choose B1. Okay, that's what you're gonna tell your students. Okay. Okay, so let's see. For example, okay, part A, everyone's doing the same, because that's the compulsory part. And B1 data file, you see here, this is the data file, and the data file's got the words are easier, the passages, the articles are shorter. Okay, this is part B1, and then you do the tasks, and then part B2, the passages are harder. Okay, you see data file for part B2, you see the passages are harder and longer, more confusing, right? Okay, so depending on your ability or your student's ability, you can suggest them whether they should do part B1 or part B2, depending on your understanding with their abilities. Okay. Okay, so After we have finished listening to the data file part, the 10-minute audio, Karina will help me to put you guys into breakout rooms, and then you guys will discuss the passages in the data file to see how to group them into articles, into writings. Okay, so three talks. Let's go through the questions. Task 8, which is the first task of part B, it's an introductory video script. What you need to do is to write a script for the Planet Taco problem-solving activity industry video using information from the B2 data file and your notes. Write around 150 words. Okay. So you've got paper like this. And also the task 9 is an incident report. What you need to do is to write an incident report for what happened on the MAT using information from the B2 data file. Write about 150 words as well. Okay. And then for the last task, what you need to do is to write an email relying to the locate foundation using information from the B2 data file and your notes. Write about 200 words. Okay, so what you need to do is of course, you don't read everything here. You use scanning and skimming to let yourself know what's going on with all the articles here. There will be no time for you to read carefully about all the information here. You will have a long music time to go through these things, but not long enough for you to read everything carefully. Just use scanning and skimming. And while you are reading the passages in the data file, remember to use your highlight pens or your pencils to do the markings. For example, when you read the email, there's usually email for you to know what you need to do. For example, first, I need you to write a script, blah, 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 blah. Then this is the guideline for you to write the script. And then the second, once you've done that, please write the report about the incident. And then these paragraphs will be the guideline about what you will have in the report. For example, you see here, in the report, you need to explain what happened to the girl involved, blah, 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 blah. So for the email, what you need to do is to know what you should do, what you have to do for each of the tasks. And then finally, the email says, I would like you to write a refusal to a request made by blah, 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 blah. And then this paragraph, this short paragraph will again let you know what you need to do for task 10. Okay. One very useful thing for you to do is while you are reading the email, let yourself know how many steps are there for each of the tasks. For example, let's go through the first paragraph together. You can read with me or you can just listen to my reading. First, I need you to write a script for an introductory video explaining the planet travel problem-solving activity to the children. Okay, so your target audience is children. Okay, so when you know that your target audience is children, then be mindful of your choice of words that you use. Of course, you do not use very, very advanced vocabularies. Of course, you're not gonna use very complicated sentences. So make sure that you know who your audience will be. Okay, let me have a look. Yes, it looks like the writing tasks. Yeah, the instruction will be shown on the paper, but not the transcript. No transcript will be shown. The transcript will be read to you by different characters in the listening part, as in the 10-minute listening part. Yes. Good question. And let's continue having a look. So for the children, and then as was decided in the latest management committee meeting, you can start by looking at the minutes of the meeting. Okay, so this is the first thing that you will do. Also, listen to what Professor Marvin Adams said on the podcast. Okay, this is the second thing that you will do. Don't forget to make the script lively and exciting. Okay, of course, for the children, it's not like talking to the adults. Just try to remind yourself, I am writing, I am speaking to the children. Okay, don't use very complicated sentences, because they won't understand. If they don't understand what you're saying or talking about, they will lose interest in listening to you. Okay, so how many things we need to see in task 1? 1, look at the minutes of the meeting. Of course, it doesn't mean just ask you to look. There must be very important information in the minutes of the meeting. So you read this one and you find the information that you need to put in your own writing. And also, listen to what Professor Marvin Adams said on the podcast. Okay, listen, okay, so maybe this one is a transcript in the data file. So be careful with the key information that he said and put it in your task. Okay. One reminder, as I said at the very beginning of our lesson, we never simply copy everything down that you see in the data file. You're gonna get very, very low language marks for that one. For all the sentences that you see in the data file, for all the information you see in the data file, you are gonna rephrase it into your own language. If you want to save time, if you think like, oh, I do not have much time to rephrase to my own language, then you're gonna really lose most of the marks in your language part. Okay? Am I clear? Okay, great. Thank you for giving me a response. And then for task 2, okay, please write a report about the incident on the MAT for me to send to the management committee. Okay, so who is the audience? The audience is management committee. Okay, they are adults and they are committee. So for this time, you can use complicated sentences to show off your language skills. In the report, you need to explain what happened to the girl involved, the conclusion reached by the doctor, and explanations for the MAT failure given by the engineer. Okay, the first thing that you will do. The second thing, the conclusion. The third thing, explanations again. At the end of the report, present the recommendations that have been agreed on. Okay, this is the fourth thing. Okay, so 4 steps for doing the report. You can start by looking at the minutes of the latest management committee meeting. Okay, again, read the minutes of the latest management community meeting. You will find useful information in that. Okay. Then the last task, I would like you to write a refusal to a request made by Locane Foundation charity. Remember to explain why. Okay, so who are the audience? Who is the audience? The audience is this organization, Locane Foundation charity. Okay, write a letter of refusal to refuse something. Okay, remember to explain why. Start by looking at the letter they sent us. Okay, so the key information you will read is the letter they sent us. Please show sensitivity in your response and offer what we can support this wonderful charity. We made some decisions regarding this in the management committee meeting earlier this week. So another thing that you will read is the management committee meeting. Okay, the meeting report or anything to show the decision. Okay. Your countdown for getting these done starts now, 10, 9, 8. Okay, that's nonsense. You don't have to read that one. Okay, so for the email, 1, 2, 3, 3 tasks for you, and each of the tasks got steps, okay? So follow the steps and find the information from the data file, then group them into your writing, okay? That's how you do the data file part. Okay, great. I will clear the things here. Okay, each year is different. Each year's tasks for data files are different. For this year, you need to write script, you need to write report, you need to write a letter of refusal. And for other years, there may be letters, there might be emails, there might be memo papers, there might be reports for you to write. So each year is different. So it's a combination of writing tasks and listening tasks. For the writing task, of course, you're gonna remind yourself of for this kind of writing. For example, for this kind of genre, for this kind of writing, like a report, what's the important format? What's the thing that I need to see? For example, of course, a title, subtitles, for the letter, of course, the email address, dear blah blah blah, and the greetings. So depending on what type of writing you are doing, then be mindful of the language, be mindful of the format. Okay, so that's it for the introduction of this year's tasks. All right. Okay, and see how many pages of things you need to read. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 pages of information for you to read during the music time. So be mindful of your time management. If no questions, we can now start listening to the data file part, and then I will put you into groups to do the grouping of information. Okay, so this is the thing. This is the listening note-taking sheet for the Star podcast. There are some information for you. No marks will be gained in this part. It is just for yourself to see. Your marker, your teacher is not gonna mark this one. So make sure that all the drawings, all the notes for you is only for yourself to understand. Okay, you don't have to make it neat. You don't have to make it tidy. It's only for you to see. Okay, no matter how well you do for this page, no marks will be given. Okay. Okay, if you guys are ready, we'll move on to the audio. Okay.
Part B. Look at page 2 of your data file. Situation. You are Nico Lin. You work for StarPod, an organization that promotes space exploration and runs adventure camps for children. You are an assistant to the director of StarPod, Miss Ellen Ochoa. Miss Ochoa has asked you to do some tasks. You will listen to a recording of a StarPod podcast in which Ellen Ochoa speaks to Captain Trillian Choi and Professor Marvin Adams. Take notes under the appropriate headings. Before the recording is played, you will have 5 minutes to study the question-answer book and the data file to familiarize yourself with the situation and the tasks. Complete the tasks by following the instructions in the question-answer book and on the recording. You will find all the information you need in the question-answer book, the data file, and on the recording. As you listen, you can make notes on page 3 of the data file. You now have 5 minutes to familiarize yourself with the question-answer book and the data file. The recording is about to begin. Turn to page 3 of the data file.
Good afternoon. So we've got lots of interesting things to talk about today on the Star Pod podcast. And with me are 2 special guests. Our first guest is Captain Trillian Choi, who I'm sure needs no introduction.
Hi, everyone.
And my other guest is Professor Marvin Adams, an astronomer at the Hong Kong Space Observatory.
Lovely to be back again, Ellen.
Okay, so one of the most exciting activities at our adventure camp is the Mars Experience Room, where our children get to feel what it would be like to be on Mars. And it is quite a dangerous place, Mars, from what I can gather. So my first question is, Trillian, what are the dangers of being on Mars, and what would kill you?
Well, lots of things. But one of the first things is there is no oxygen on Mars. So without oxygen, you can't breathe, of course, and so you would die.
Gosh, no oxygen? Not able to breathe? That's scary.
Yeah, it certainly is. So that means you can't walk around on the surface of Mars without a spacesuit.
Right, got it. But what about the temperature on Mars? I've heard it's very cold. Is that right?
Yes, Mars is too cold for humans, definitely. Again, you wouldn't survive. You would freeze to death unless you had a spacesuit on.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, so basically, you would really need to wear a spacesuit at all times. But even then, if you were wearing a spacesuit, Mars would still be a pretty dangerous place to be.
Really? How so? What other dangers would there be?
Well, there are dust storms.
Dust storms? That doesn't sound so bad. How are dust storms dangerous?
Well, for one thing, it would be very easy to get lost in one of these dust storms.
Getting lost on Mars would be very bad news, I'm sure.
Getting lost on any planet is bad news, even Earth.
Good point. Let's carry on with the topic of planets. Another of our activities at Adventure Camp is about the planet Tarkov. Now, Marvin's a bit of an expert on Tarkov and helped us design the problem-solving activity we run at the camp. So why did you choose Tarkov for the activity?
A good question, Ellen. So imagine, here's a planet which has incredibly extreme seasons, much more extreme than anything we would find anywhere on Earth.
Okay, so what would that mean if you were living on Tarkov?
Well, on Tarkov, in the summer, the temperatures are so high that the oceans boil, and this produces huge amounts of steam. So if you were on Tarkov, the steam would kill you in an instant.
Jeepers, that's terrible. Killed by boiling oceans? Ugh. So that's summer on Tarkov, but what about winter? What happens then? I'm imagining it's not going to be good.
Yeah, you're right there. Well, the temperatures would sink so low that the oceans would freeze. The oceans would be frozen solid.
Wow, oceans frozen solid. So that's summer and winter on Tarkov. But what about the other seasons? What about spring and autumn?
Well, that's the amazing thing. You have these extreme winters and summers on Tarkov, but the spring and autumn are really quite pleasant. Average temperatures are like 25 degrees Celsius.
So 25 degrees is like Hong Kong in November. That's a nice temperature.
Exactly.
Okay, well, certainly an interesting place, Tarkov. Right. Well, it's also an exciting time for some of our listeners because they've signed up for one of our adventure camps. Now, I hope you don't mind me telling everyone, but Trillian, you actually attended our adventure camp when you were a teenager a few years back, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. You're making me feel old.
So, what's the one thing you wish you had taken with you on the camp?
Good question. Sunscreen. Lots of sunscreen. One day, I remember, we spent the morning in the swimming pool and I forgot to bring any. I got so burnt. I hope you remind parents to give their kids sunscreen.
We'll certainly remind them to bring sunscreen then. Marvin, you help us at the camp on occasion. What would you recommend that kids bring to adventure camp?
Well, let me see. I remember one boy last year turned up in his school uniform with smart shoes, and we had to call his mum and tell her to bring him comfortable clothes for doing exercise in, and sports shoes. So I would definitely say those two things, comfortable clothes and sports shoes.
And I can help with telling kids what not to bring. A mobile phone. We have a strict no mobile phone policy at the camp. The adventure camp is a no mobile phone zone.
Yeah, and I think the no mobile phone policy is great for kids. Without their mobile phones, they can really focus on the activities at hand.
Now, one other thing before we go. It's the Star Pod Open Day coming up soon, later this month. It will be on the 25th of April, and I am happy to announce that the mystery special guest for the Star Pod Open Day is none other than Trillian Choi. Thank you, Trillian.
So if any of our listeners want to meet me, come to the Star Pod Open Day on... sorry, when was it?
The 25th of April.
Exactly.
Yes, it should be a great day. Now, just in case our listeners need reminding, Trillian is an astronaut, so it's a chance for you kids to meet a real, live astronaut.
Yes, I'm looking forward to answering all your questions.
Trillian is famous because she was, wait till I get this right, the 6th female Asian astronaut.
Yes, it is quite a mouthful, but I am actually very proud of that. I was indeed only the 6th female Asian astronaut to go into space.
And Trillian is also famous, of course, for being a gold medalist at the Olympics.
Yes, that's right.
That must have been a proud moment, winning at the Olympics.
Yes, it was. It really was. But that was many moons ago now, though.
Yes, well, anyway, come and speak to Trillian at the open day and hear more of her stories. Okay, so thank you to both my guests today, and we hope to see you soon at StarPod. Bye for now.
That is the end of the listening component of this paper. You will now have 1 hour and 15 minutes to complete the written tasks in either Part B1 or Part B2. An announcement will be made when time is up. Take off your earphones now and turn off the radio.
各位聽眾，你而家
All right, so as you just listened, you've got 1 hour and 15 minutes for all the 3 tasks. So that means for each of the tasks, you're gonna use around 20 minutes or less than 25 minutes for each of the tasks, because you need to have some time for you to check yourself, check your grammar, check your writing, check your everything. So the best thing, the best time is like around 20 minutes for each of the tasks. So I suggest you to have a clock or have a time setter in front of you, and if one of the tasks if one of the tasks is like 25 minutes past, then you move on to the next part, okay? So be mindful of the time management, write faster and think faster, okay? There's really no much time, like 20 minutes for each of the writing tasks, okay? And now we've still got like 25 minutes. Okay, so now I will put you into groups. So 3 of you in one group, and then you guys will discuss how to group different informations into the writings, okay? All right. Okay. So join the breakout rooms. Join the rooms. All right, guys, only 2 more minutes till we end the class. Are there any specific questions for what we've done today? Any questions or any problems you encountered? Just now, I have been to your rooms, your breakout rooms, to listen to your discussions, and I can see that some of you are really getting there. You guys are familiarizing yourself with the format of the writing and also the grouping of information. I know it's a bit hard because this exam is a combination of reading, writing, and listening. I know it's really hard. It's not easy. But don't worry, we are getting there because I can see some of you are working very hard to get the information and get the key ideas of this paper. Okay, very well done for today. So guys, any questions? Any problems? Okay. Any tips regarding time management? Okay, as I just said, you've only got like 75 minutes for the 3 tasks. What I did was I had my watch in front of myself when I was sitting for the DSE exam and also the DSE paper practices. I will allow myself to use 20 minutes for each of the tasks. So if the tasks 25 minutes or more is gone by, then I would straightly move on to the next tasks. And also when you are doing the preparation time, for example, the music time, you're going to use scanning and skimming, and you also use your highlight pen to highlight the key information. The more you are familiar with the paper, the more the faster you can do. Okay, the fastest you can do when doing the papers, okay? Very nice questions. Yes, you can have some sample answers of part B too. Okay, if no more questions, then we can end the class now, and I will see you guys on 13th for 1 hour, okay? Bye-bye. You're welcome. Bye. Have a nice day. Thank you for having the lesson with me in such a early morning. You guys are doing very great. Right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.